A goal, Quishbilly, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
What gets irate?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of And He Takes That Chance. Rather than endure England v Iceland in the Nations League, we decided to do a non-league special tonight. And joining myself, Neil, Brady. Oh God, I could hear myself twice here at that as well. So let me just. There we go. So, introducing our super panel tonight, we've got James Howard, the chairman of Brighouse Town. Good evening, James.
Evening, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. We've got Paul Quinn, the former Brighouse manager, now Tadcaster Albion manager. Hi, Paul.
Evening, all right, guys.
And we've got player coach, according to Wikipedia, of Golcar United and Huddersfield Town legend, which we'll talk about later, Joe Skarz. Hi, Joe.
Hi, lads. Thanks for having me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, obviously, we're meant to be in the thick of a season, and what a strange time for everyone. The season's kind of stopped, and you guys got going and stopped again. So I suppose we'll come just from kind of a playing side, really. Start with you, Paul. How frustrating has it been? I mean, I kind of read your website notes. You were very forthright with your opinion and frustrated that we've been kind of stopped again. Something obviously that you didn't feel that should have happened.
It's frustrating. I mean, there's no two ways about it. I think to get the season started and then sort of have a 4-week pause, I think everyone will agree it is frustrating. And you know, we've all got to do our bit. I get that in terms of the football world, and if it meant spectators not coming in again, that causes a problem for clubs that have got players on contract or might have to still keep paying players. But I think there was no reason, in my opinion, that we couldn't have kept training, particularly the young ones. You know, particularly the kids that are suffering a lot at the moment anyway, from being isolated in bubbles and being off school and all sorts of things that are going on. I personally felt that things could have kept going in terms of the outdoor activity side of it, and our lads could have some training going on during this period. But obviously the powers that be decided that wasn't the right thing to be, and obviously we've stuck by all the guidance and everything that's happened. But yeah, it's frustrating, but we're sort of halfway through this mini lockdown now, and we're looking forward to it. I'm sure James and Skarz will agree. We're looking forward now to getting back to playing, getting back to seeing the lads, and doing what we love and what we're in the game for.
So I suppose just to give everyone a bit of background, really. So obviously yourselves, Paul and James, Tadcaster and Brighouse in the same league, the Northern Premier League. I've done my homework here, the North West Division. And Joe, you're in the North West Counties Football League as well. So your seasons have started quite differently, really, haven't they? Joe, you're doing well in third spot. Tadcaster 8th, and sorry to come to you, James, but been a bit of a struggle this season. It looks like one win, but I suppose I think you'd lost 2 or 3 on the bounce. Were you just ready to go again and trying to get the form turned around?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? It's I think when you have a fantastic pre-season, which we did, we had a very strong pre-season, and I think we conceded 2 goals without pulling up my fact book in front of me. We conceded 2 goals pre-season and took Harrogate first team to a goalless draw at home after their epic final win. I think you kind of jinx yourself, don't you? And I think I'm not a superstitious bloke, but I think having that sort of form pre-season going into the league campaign, you're kind of on that sort of high anyway. And it is as it is. It's football. We just got to get on with it, and it is early doors. By the time we go back, we've still got a lot of games to play. the league season's been extended as well, and we're in the. I'm still very confident. I did something last night, and my predictions for where we'll finish up in the season. I'm still confident that we'll finish where we want to finish, and yeah, it's not gone too particularly well. But as I say, we're looking forward to Boxing Day with Quinny's lot, and no doubt that'll be a pretty special West Yorkshire derby, or West North Yorkshire derby, I should say, being geographically correct. But yeah, it's football, and we've just got to get on with it. And yeah, and I will add that we beat Huddersfield Town first 11 3-0 at home pre-season. So I don't know if that went against us in terms of our form coming into the full campaign. But yeah, it's football, and it's frustrating. As much as it's great when you win, it's a very lonely Saturday night when you lose. I can tell you that. So.
Joe, how's your season been going at Golcar so far?
Yeah, we've started all right. Obviously, we'd like to be in the league what Quinny and James are in themselves, But I've been really surprised. Not surprised, but really, happy with the standard of football I've seen at step 6. Never mind what I can imagine what step 5 and step 4, which obviously Brighouse and Tadcaster in is like. I mean, there's some really good players at the level that Golcar find themselves at. We played the 2 Liverpool teams, which were really good. Had a few outstanding players, what I believe could play a lot higher. I played in Conference North last year, and I don't think there's a big difference whatsoever. I don't think there's a big difference at all in the leagues, and I think Quinny and James might agree with me there that a lot of lads, I think, what playing step 4, 5 and 6, what's not classed as elite, which I think is a joke really. I think we should still be playing them. As Quinny said, I think we've got all the guidelines in place, especially at Golcar, and I'm sure they have at Brighouse, and I'm sure they have at Tadcaster, where we could easily play games now. So it's been a good start. We've played 8 games and we've won 3, drawn 1, lost 4. So we've lost a few games. I think we've won. We're unbeaten away from home. We've lost every single game at home, which is a bit frustrating. But we get 300 fans every game at the minute at home, and teams are coming to us, and it's a lot of teams are coming to us, and straight away they're saying to like a few of our lads and myself, and when the game just kicked off, it's brilliant here, isn't it? 300 fans and teams in our league, I found there's a lot of young lads in each team who've got a lot of energy, and they're seeming to thrive off playing in front of a big crowd. But no, I've really enjoyed it so far, and as I say, just looking forward to the season getting back going again.
So I'm just going to do a little spotlight kind of on all your clubs and that as well. I know you kind of talk non-league as steps forward and whatever, but I kind of put it in terms for probably most people are watching. It's kind of classed as, I suppose, the Division 8, if you're kind of going down the pyramid and that as well. It's Division 8, and Joe, you also probably be like the 9th division and that as well. So obviously keep kind of getting promoted and you end up, in National League and that as well. But I suppose starting with you, James, really, Brighouse. So the one thing that really struck me going onto your website is how professional it is. In fact, to be honest, I think it's a lot better than Huddersfield Town's, really. It's a lot more user-friendly, and it's put shame, I think, to a lot of professional clubs and that as well. There's a couple of things that did stand out for me. Was you've got a women's team, you've got an academy team, and you've also got like a 200 club draw and that as well. So when I kind of looked at that and read all that, I'm thinking, wow, this is kind of real ambition here, and it's quite a lot more than just kind of one team on a Saturday. This looks like a club that's really ambitious.
Yeah, you can tell I've hung around with Sean Jarvis too much over the years, can't you? Clearly ripping off all of his ideas, but I'm new. I don't have a background like Quinny or Skarz in terms of history in the game. I never really played the game. I just about played Sunday League, and I couldn't afford the fines in the end. It was that brutal, so I had to pack it in. But I'm quite fortunate. I've been around the sort of commercial game of football for a long time, and been exposed to Huddersfield Town and Bradford City, and picked up a lot of good advice over the years, really. And I think the most important lesson that I've sort of learned is just listening, really, and just being a bit of a sponge and taking great advice in. And, you know, and I'm sure these guys will, you know, these guys have played the game that are on the call now, and, you know, and obviously Quinny in his management role and Skarz doing his coaching. You know, 50% of what we do is about the result and the performance. I absolutely accept that. But the other 50% of running a club is about the branding. It's about the marketing. It's about how we conduct ourselves in the community and the things that we do off the pitch. And, you know, and I think for Brighouse Town, you know, we're quite fortunate. We're quite a large town sandwiched between, you know, Bradford, Huddersfield, Halifax, Wakefield, Leeds. You know, we're in quite a condensed area. And I think the sort of real ambition for the club is to try and capitalise on those chimney pots really around us, and, you know, give people an alternative to you know, Premier League, Championship, you know, League One, League Two football, the professional game, and say, well, hold on a minute, you know, we're in Brighouse here. There is a real alternative to going and spending whatever you spend at a professional level. And but I think, but that doesn't mean necessarily just because the standard of football is. There is a disparity. Obviously, I'm not ignorant to say there isn't. You know, of course, there's a disparity in the quality of the game from the Premier League down to our level, without doing anybody any disservice. I'm just being honest. But I think that doesn't stop us behaving and acting in a professional manner, in a professional way, in terms of how we portray the club and you know. And I think the biggest driver for us is just the conduct. It's capitalising on the local skills, and, you know, telling them that Brighouse Town exists, and, you know, getting local businesses on board, and, you know, bigger businesses on board who might not necessarily have been aware of the non-league system, Kosi, as you touched on there, or certainly aware of that pyramid platform, and giving them an alternative really to sitting in a terrace or a corporate box at the John Smiths or at Valley Parade, and, you know, standing on the touchline with 300 fans and a couple of Alsatians, you know, and it's that, you know, and that's the reason why, you know, I fell in love with non-league, because it's real, you know, and it's real football, and bloody hell, you meet some characters, I'll tell you that, you know. And I'm like, yeah, I won't go into it. I've got a few tales of some of our fans, and I'm sure you remember some of them, Quinny, from your days at Brighouse as well. But
I think I'm picturing the same people you are, James, at the moment.
Yeah, quite possibly. And, you know, and these fans are great. You know, they've been supporters of the club for 25, 30 years. You know, Brighouse has been going since the 60s in two different forms, from an old working men's team from Blake Bravals, in terms of the history of the club. You know, so we've got supporters and fans who have been with us pretty much from the 70s and the 80s in terms of following the club. But I think for me, you know, if we're to evolve and progress through the league system as we want to do, you know, I mean, it would be unbelievable to try and ever achieve what Harrogate Town have done, you know. And I look at that as the benchmark, you know, I really do, and I think it's phenomenal. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, we're going to do that, because I don't want to eat humble pie if we don't. But, you know, that gives everybody hope, really, and that gives everybody, you know, like the Tadcasters and the Golcars and the Brighouses, the Liversages, you know, the Emilys, the Shelleys of this world, all the local clubs, that, you know, clearly progression is there, and it's achievable. And yeah, so it's about bringing the younger generation through as well, and getting the kids coming through, and, you know, getting them invested into the club emotionally, and, you know, being the 12th man really, and shouting abuse from the touchline. So
sounds a lot of vibrancy around. I mean, you kind of know people through like local cricket and obviously social media, but there's a lot of people that I know have been going to a lot of your games and just enjoying the Saturday. Paul, I'd love to know a little bit about Tadcaster, because obviously they've been absolutely decimated. Is it 4 floods you've had in the last year? It just seems to be incredible, but it seems to be a club that's got such resilience and a big heart, and it just won't be beaten. I mean, I remember seeing some of them pictures when I think it might have been the second flood, and it must be just heartbreaking. But the fact that you kind of even started the season and got it going, and is there such a kind of resilience at that club that, you know, just won't be beaten, and it kind of transferred it onto the pitch?
Yeah, I think you can look at it in two ways, can't you? You can sort of go into your shell and think, you know, a bit of a victim mentality and, you know, poor old Tadcaster, or you can actually use it to your advantage and pull people together and galvanise people. I think we've had a couple of things that happened this year that have really pulled us together as a club. I think first of all the floods in February, which were devastating for everybody. I mean, there's no getting around it. Where the dugouts are probably 20 yards away from the river. It's inevitable that the pitch is going to flood from time to time. But the issue at the ground is when it's actually not so much the pitch, believe it or not, because the pitch drains pretty quickly after the flood. It's actually if the water gets into the clubhouse that there's an issue. Because you can imagine then all the floors have got to come up and everything's got to be redone. So, that caused a big issue. So there was that we had to deal with first of all. And then obviously we get the double sort of compounded that really was the coronavirus happening, which for every club caused them a massive, massive headache. So, but I think for me as manager, I think it's pulled everyone closer together. I think the players have come closer together. I think I've come closer with the committee. I only joined last October, so I was still getting to know people, and I think it's brought everybody together, and we've had that bit of a siege mentality since then. And there's some great plans in place at the club now to restructure the clubhouse and put a new facility in there and flood-proof it all. So there's some exciting times ahead. But as James has said, I think you've got to set your objectives and you've got to set your expectations high, and not be afraid to put yourself out there and say, we do want to get to the next level, and we do want to push on, and we do want to improve the club, and we do want more revenue, and we do want more corporate partners, and not be ashamed to say that. And do you know what? For me, if things don't work, they don't work. But you've had a go at it, and you've set your expectations. I'd much rather have that mentality than have the mentality of we'll just accept what we've got and just be the same as everybody else. And I think in life, in business, in football, I think you've got to be brave and you've got to stand up and you've got to try and push yourself and push the players and push everyone around you. And I think that mentality, it's refreshing to hear James talk about that. I can remember when I first went to Brighouse, there was certainly a point where we needed to push things forward again. And it's great to see someone like James come into a club that I've got so much sort of admiration for, and they give me my first opportunity in senior semi-pro football. It's a club I admire a lot. So for someone like James to go in and talk about those things with a club like that's refreshing, and we've got people at Tadcaster that have the same mentality as well. So hopefully on Boxing Day we can come out on top in terms of that mentality. But it's been difficult, but I think it has brought people together.
You've got 21s and an 18s, Paul, so pretty much is that kind of the conveyor belt, and you look to kind of bring these guys through to the first team? Is kind of got a big squad, shall we say? Because I noticed you said that we've had lots of injuries and suspensions, so have you had to kind of call in some of these kind of lower age groups?
Yeah, we've got like an emerging talent squad now that are playing in the under 21s league, but we're also arranging them fixtures against some of the pro clubs as well. And I think Tadcaster's got a really good track record of getting players from the club to higher teams. So even this year we've had Enrico Sousa signed a full-time contract for Darlington in the last few weeks. He's just gone there from us, played 4 games for us at the start of the season, got snapped up. Alfie Beeston signed a full-time deal at Scunthorpe early in the year. So we've had other players. Ronaldo Vieira played for us and now playing abroad, and we've had numerous players that have come through Tadcaster because again, like James was saying, geographically I think we just sit nicely between Leeds and York, and we've got good connections with Leeds Academy, and obviously we've got I2I Academy running out of the club as well. So we've got sort of that conveyor belt of players coming through, and I think that's massively important, even at our level, that you've got a group of players you can call upon. We didn't have that last year because that had been decimated because of a restructure at the club, and to bring that back in the summer was really important because we wanted to be able to call on some of these young players. And we set an objective at the start of the season, try and get 6 through to the first team this season. I think we've already had 4 come through and make the first team appearance. So, it's really important, massively important, because we haven't got the budget that some of the clubs have got at our level either. So it's massively important that we're sort of attracting the young players to come through that are hungry and want to make an impression.
You took over from Curtis Woodhouse, a name that I'll always not go down too well with Town fans, who put us into the 3rd division of League One as it was then back in 2001. But yeah, we won't talk much about that. Joe, give us a little touch on Golcar United. Got Danny Ratchin, aren't you, in your squad?
Is it Brighouse?
Oh God, there's my prep. It's all gone Pete Tong, man. I knew it was one of your 3 clubs.
Kosi, come on.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, Golcar.
Was it better standard than when you thought? Sorry, Joe. From obviously where you played. Yeah.
The club itself is fantastic. It's really well run. I spoke to Ash Connor and Gavin Connor, who were the joint managers way back in January, and they they outlined their plans to me and said that, you know, if I wanted to come on board and help out with a little bit of my coaching as well, because I coach at Sheffield United Academy. So they just said if I wanted to do it, and the option's there for me. And I signed for another club in January in the year just gone, and then in the summer I just had a little sit down and a think. And my coach at Sheffield United is going really well. I wanted to be at a local club. It's 15 minutes away from my house, and the people at the club are just really enthusiastic about getting Golcar to the next level. And not just the next level after that. Like Quinny says, I think in football you've got to be ambitious. You can't. I think you've got to set your limits as high as you can. You've got to be brave. You've got to drive people forward. I mean, we've got a group of people at Golcar who throughout all the summer and at the beginning of lockdown, the first lockdown, every day they were working at the club, you know, getting things sorted. We've just had a new stand built. The stand behind the goal, they're doing into like a bit of a cop end where the people stand behind it, and that's all through volunteers. You know, just people who want to make the club better. And as I said, ever since I've arrived at the club, the people there have been fantastic with me, from Pete the chairman to Secretary Ben Senior, and then obviously Ash and Gav as well. And they've got fans who, you know, I mean, we played Clayton Moore away on the first game of the season, which is, I think it's 3 hours away in Barrow. Horrendous day, and I think we had 60 fans what went up there, which at that level it's remarkable, really. And even just for, like, you know, for my dad, you know, who's watched me since I was 8 years old. You know, he comes to every game, and he said it's the most he's enjoyed football since the most he enjoyed watching me play. Just because he can go around, he can walk around the ground like James says there. You know, stroke an Alsatian when he's walking around, have a pint. It's just real football. It's just real football, though. And
what should I say about our female fans, Joe?
I think sometimes, yeah, we all love the professional game, but you know, when you just go back to your roots and you go to a non-league ground and you go on a Saturday afternoon and your dad and whoever can have a pint and watch a really good game of football where it might end up 5-4 and it'll be 4-2 to the other team with 2 minutes to go and the other team will win 5-4. You know the games are exciting, and as I said, the quality of the football in the lower leagues is really, really good as well.
I couldn't agree more, Joe. I mean, I've kind of been in some right travels. I've been at Baseford United, Glossop North End. I went to FC Man United, I've been at Scarborough. And I've absolutely loved it. I've loved the standard. Yeah. It's been much better than I thought it'd be. Like you said there, I've seen a lot of league fans have kind of not got the fix. So you're getting, I think, a lot of people coming in there. And I don't think it'd be as simple as once the league kind of clubs open the doors again, whenever that may be, that they will all go back there. James, maybe one for you, but I think there's definitely opportunity to kind of get these people in and to keep them in and that as well, because the one thing that I've kind of really loved about it, like you say, is just that friendliness, just being treated like, you know, like classy, really. I think Huddersfield Town's kind of lost the way a little bit now, kind of how they treat the supporters.
Yeah, and I'm in no way like disrespecting, you know, the Football League and the levels above us. I'm not disrespecting them in any way. I'm just saying that I think people do kind of dismiss this level and think that, it's rubbish, it's not a great standard, you know, lads just go out on a Friday night and they have a drink and they turn up on a Saturday and play. It's not that. It's totally different now, I think. You know, the level is good, and there's good players at this level, and players at this level who could easily step up, I think, if you know, sometimes it's a case of they've got a decent job and they don't want to travel. I think that's a big factor. Lads at this level, do they want to travel? Do they want to go to like the Conference North or whatever and want to travel and be out of the house all day? Maybe not. So they find themselves at this level.
James, how much, for kind of people tuning in, is cash king in this league? Can you do a Harrogate unless you've got kind of a decent benefactor like obviously Irving is down there, or can it be done smartly and maybe in the same way kind of Town got into the Premier League, maybe with astute signings? You don't have to spend big money, or will the best players kind of go to the cash? I know it's like Buxton's spending a lot this year, where the other years they aren't. How's it kind of working out? How do you see it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the Yorkshireman in me coming out. You know, we're conservative, I think, and Brighouse Town, and Quinny will know this from his days with us. You know, we're a conservatively run club, and we're not big spenders. And I think, you know, when I took over the reins, that was very much my philosophy, really, and wanting to continue that trend in terms of not over committing to anything, you know. And I think the big focal point for certainly for Brighouse was how do we drive off the pitch revenue, you know, not just getting people through the gate. You know, what can we do to make money? So, you know, it does give us options. You know, I'm proud to say that this is the first year that we've been in the black, you know, in many years in, you know, the club's history. And that's not from me ploughing a load of money in, because that's just an easy option to do. But that's getting the club to a point where it's sustainable, it's self-sustainable in regards to income versus expenditure through club funds. And, you know, there's many different ways of doing that. And it's, you know, a lot of it is about thinking outside the box. So, yeah, it's just making it to the point where, you know, we're not going silly, because there's a lot of money flowing around non-league. You touched on Buxton there, Kosi. You know, we drew Buxton in the FA Trophy, and if I'm brutally honest, we should have beat them. We should have beat them, and they've got Matt Kilgallen playing for them at centre half, who's their captain, ex-Leeds United, ex-Bradford City. We should have beat them, you know, on the day. I think fitness maybe prevailed over us, and they came through with a 2-0 win. But personally, you know, until you start knocking on the door of the National North or you know, knocking around that level, then, you know, budgets will.
Does it shock you, the money in the game, James, at that level? Because some of the stuff I hear, it's like, God, I can't believe people fund it. I mean, benefactors will fund whatever, but it's like, I'm like, wow, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of money floating around. There really is, but like Quinny said there, you know, our budget is probably very similar to Tadcaster. You know, we don't have the biggest budget in the league. But then again, if you go 2 levels up, you look at someone like Bradford Park Avenue, their budget is not much more than ours, if I'm brutally honest. And, you know, they're 2 leagues above. And yeah, okay, they've not had a particularly great time recently, but and you got Buxton League above who are throwing the money that they're throwing around, and it's all relative. And I think a lot of it is down to, you know, our recruitment, our management team, you know, our philosophy and culture of who we want to bring in. You know, our culture and philosophy is very much about, you know, building relationships with senior pro clubs to do, you know, to help us, and also bringing in youngsters who need an opportunity. You know, that is very much, you know, the direction that we want to go in. That being said, you know, Danny Raki was available. You know, it was an obvious conversations to have with Danny, you know, about bringing him to Brighouse Town. I've known Danny a number of years, and you know, he's got a great CV. You know, there's no denying it at all. He's played Scottish Premiership football. You know, so to bring him to someone like Brighouse Town was in my opinion, is a bit of a marquee signing for the club in terms of his name. And you know, we've had to spend a bit, but you know, you do what you have to do, I guess, but within certain parameters and not going stupid silly. And that's just the businessman in me, Kosi, in terms of, you know, I don't want to put in hundreds of thousands of pounds, because quite frankly, my missus will have an absolute heart attack and I'll end up sleeping at the office. So, but there's a way that football clubs, you know, I completely stand by this. There's a way at our level, football clubs can be successful and make a small profit. You know, we're not going to make millions. Of course we're not. We don't have the fan base to do that. And, you know, we don't have TV revenue. We don't have, you know, multiple corporate boxes and everything else to generate income. But, you know, we can be sustainable. And you know, and this season, last season has certainly proved that, you know, we can make a small profit, and we'll continue to do it. So it's just being conservative, really, not getting silly, you know. And lots of people push opinions onto you that this, oh, you want to get this player on board and this, that, and the other, and you know. But he wants 500 quid a week, and it's like, whoa, let's be realistic about where we're at and know what we're at as well. Really, more importantly. So
with that in mind, James,
Brady, I think you've got.
Oh no, go Neil, go.
Sorry, with what you said there, James. With that in mind, obviously, you're all well into the season. You got fans in. Something that obviously as fans of Huddersfield Town, we've had that sort of taken away from us since the start of lockdown. Even though we're not actually seeing a live game, we're watching Town. When you've got fans coming back in and obviously generating some income, and you're getting fans from probably a local pro clubs coming and watching because they're craving some football, that's your chance as all three clubs to obviously gain and sort of pull a bit of support. And some of those will stay permanently because of the disconnect with certain clubs. Now, does it feel like you just had rug totally pulled out because obviously you can't even play, never mind let fans in? And when you do go back to playing and there's no fans, how do your clubs survive? Because obviously players, etc., still need paying, don't they? Joe, got you first.
Go.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, we've got plenty of fans, like you say, who are also Huddersfield Town fans, and they make no denial of that. But I think one of the big things that I said before is that the difference between going to Huddersfield Town and going to Golcar is you can have a beer, and a lot of fans and a lot of especially male fans, they like to have a beer when they're watching football, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think, as you say, if we do obviously come out of lockdown and we're able to play and we can't get fans in, then that's going to be a massive hit for the clubs. I know even though we were only allowed 300, you're still making your money behind the bar, in when they sell tea and coffee and sandwiches and stuff. You make money there. So home game for Golcar, it's a highly profitable day for the club. If you get a sell-out crowd and you're getting people having drinks and eating sandwiches and stuff, it's a really good day for the club. And as I said, you add to that a really good game of football. You then in turn get the fans back. And so far we've had some really good games so far at home. We've lost every game, like I said, but the games we've played at home, I mean, we played Lower Breck from Liverpool, who before lockdown last season were winning the league by a country mile. We were 3-1 up with 3 minutes to go and we lost 4-3. So, just stuff like that. And obviously it was disappointing that we lost, but it's as a spectacle for people who've been missing football, and obviously this whole pandemic affecting the country, it's brilliant.
Great value, isn't it?
Not so much me when manager I'd been change room after, but yeah, I mean, like you say, it's brilliant, and people at the club who put all the hard work in during the summer and during the week to get. I mean, like with the weather that we've had a few games at Golcar. We've had people going up, during days and stuff, forking the pitch to get it right, ready for the pitch inspection, and people don't see that. There's so many people at each and every club, I believe, in non-league who, with the work that they do, gets unnoticed. And I think that's one of the biggest thing that's taken me aback is that just genuine people, no egos, who just want to do right for the football club. And from where I've come from and how I've been brought up, I think the league, the football higher up has just gone a little bit away from that, and that's what I've enjoyed the most since I've gone to Golcar.
What about Tadcaster, Quinny?
What in terms of what it'll be like when we get back?
If you go back and there's you've gone from being able to drag people in from all over and probably getting Leeds fans and York fans and what have you craving a bit of football, and all of a sudden, if you do go back and there's no fans, how does that affect the club?
I honestly, I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks, but I think it'll be a big challenge for us to go back behind closed doors. I'm not quite sure how that'd work.
I don't think the clubs would do it, Quinny, would they?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if the clubs were offered, something in terms of it's going to be a short term, couple of weeks, and players might have to take a hit or whatever, but then you've got we've got a couple of players on contract, other clubs will have more than that on contract, then there's all sorts of things there where people are, accessing, even at our level, job retention scheme and stuff like that. I just think it's an absolute minefield. So, I think that'll be a huge challenge. I know from, obviously the finance side of it really does interest me. I've always been interested in the business side of the game. And I think, if I was a chairman, I think, I'd be looking at it and saying, how can we make this work? But again, I think if the game wanted to make it happen, I think there's enough money in the game. I think there's the football's awash with money. If the powers that be wanted to drip some money down to our level, they could do. It's just somebody making the decision and somebody beating the drum loud enough. The National League clubs have got it. That's why they're still playing, because there's been millions pumped into those 3 divisions to keep it going.
So is there literally zero support for clubs further down than that then? Nothing.
As my understanding is there's zero money dropping down at the moment to support clubs in our situation. There's still running costs. There's still running costs.
There was a small grant, Neil, that was very small at the beginning of the season. But, once you allocate it for repairs and pitch maintenance, there isn't anything left. And it is a small grant. And
to me, it's amazingly short-sighted, because clubs like yours at your level are taking players on loan from professional clubs and helping bring those players on and, giving them sort of men's minutes, if you like, rather than academy football all the time. And it just seems a crying shame and a bit of a missed opportunity from the hierarchy of football to be dripping down and to be supporting clubs like yours, because without step 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, football doesn't exist properly in this country, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? That is what it's all about. It's a shambles, really.
I think going back to COVID, it's going to be so complicated because your 3 divisions are so regionalised. So if this tier system comes in, what's to say? And Kirklees sounds like it's still in a mess. So that's a tier 3, and then you've got maybe, I don't know, kind of Lancashire tiers and tiers. So you can play in tier 2, tier 3 car, tier 1. Like you said, it's just, how can it come back when you can play, you can't play, and it's just going to be chaos on that as well. Brady, you're going to come in about kind of connection between professional clubs and kind of local clubs.
Yeah. No, it's been really interesting, lads. It's nice to not hear myself talk for once. You kind of touched on it a bit in some of your answers, but obviously, I think the thing is, for me, you're all fairly local clubs. You're all in Yorkshire, and obviously we've got some big teams in Yorkshire. What's your kind of relationship like? I know, James, we've spoke before about having players on loan, and like Kosi and Neil mentioned them. But have you guys got any support from kind of the bigger clubs during any of this?
We've got a goalkeeper on loan from Manchester United actually at the minute, which is pretty incredible. Really, it's Manchester United, most decorated club in English football history. It's phenomenal to sort of put those 2 names together, Manchester United and Brighouse Town, and very privileged to have a young lad called Jacob Carney in between the posts, for us. So, that's the goal, really. We've got to evolve, and we've got to build relationships with clubs from that level right down to levels above us and even levels below us, and I believe in building friendships in football. It's not about creating enemies or upsetting people, because you don't know when you need people on the way back down, and building relationships is a significant part of what we're trying to do. And it's not easy breaking the door down and saying, hey, can we take a loan, from you? And, oh, by the way, can you pay for him? It's quite difficult to sort of sell that to the pro clubs. But, relationships are built over a period of time. And, we're quite fortunate to have several relationships which are key. And for many years, Brighouse, and Quinn, you'll know this from your days, for a long time, Brighouse had a quite a special relationship with Halifax Town for a long time, and that's great. But I think if you're relying on one club, you're kind of beholden to them, and as the senior club, they kind of do pull the strings, really. And I think certainly for us to evolve and move forward, we desperately needed to form relationships with lots of other clubs, whether they're, big relationships, little relationships, commercial relationships, just friendships, whatever it may be. And, we've gone out there and, we're really close with Bradford City and Rotherham United, Doncaster Rovers, Lincoln City, Salford City. Gary Neville is a secret fan of ours. So that helps. And obviously forming this relationship with the most decorated club in English football is it's unbelievable. I still have to pinch myself that we've managed to pull that off. But it is massive. It is so important for us to do that, and continue. I want Huddersfield Town first team next season at home. In a friendly. I'd love that. Not just. People think from the finance point, it's not about that. Significantly, it's about the community. It's about Huddersfield and Brighouse coming together. We should be their little brothers, really. We're HD6 as a football club, and if you want to look at it like this, with the second highest ranked side in the HD postcode area. So for us to continue to knock on that door is quite important, really. And we'd love to get 2,000 fans, 1,500 fans down next pre-season and host the first 11 again.
Paul, just kind of one for you. So I was reading about Gareth Southgate, and he was kind of saying the pressure on him I think Mourinho's been having a pop at him how he's not managing some players, and there's a lot of animosity kind of, we have a few managers taking it out. They'd rather have these kind of players not playing international football, etc. So I'm kind of thinking from an angle from you. So when you get guys, I don't know, from maybe even York or even Leeds or some, do you have to kind of nurture them different? Do they ask for kind of progress reports all the time? Obviously they're trusting you with their development. How does it kind of work? Or do they just trust you? You've got a good enough reputation, your club has, that they'll send them there?
Yeah, I think as James said, I think it is down to relationships and people trusting that the players are going to come out and get a good experience. But I'm sure Lee Bromby won't mind mentioning this, but we had a player, we've had a few players on loan from Huddersfield when I've been at Brighouse, Shaw Lane, at my current club at Tadcaster. And Lee said something to me last year actually about players coming out, and he said that it's not always about players coming out and doing well. Sometimes it's about players coming out and failing and then coming back to the club and reflecting on that and reflecting on the difficulties they've faced while they've been out on a 28-day loan or a 2-month loan. And I thought that was a good way of looking at it, because it is part of a young player's education to come out and be in a senior changing room. And like Skarsy said, having the manager hold you up at half time or give you a rollicking, that's real football. And the transition for me, and the role non-league football can play in transitioning players from an academy setting into senior football, where there is a little bit more of that direct approach. I'm not just talking about the style of football, I'm talking about the way people will speak to you and the relationships and the hustle and bustle of the change room, and also playing for 3 points. I think that's a big factor. So I think the non-league game for me is massively important in some of these players' development. And I've got a little sort of a gripe at the moment, not a gripe, but a little bit of a concern at the moment, because we deal with a lot of players as well that are with pro clubs, but we deal a lot with players that have just been released by pro clubs as well. And sometimes non-league clubs are that sort of ground where we're picking up the pieces as well, where a young lad's had their hopes and ambitions of becoming a pro sort of whipped from underneath them. And it is sometimes down to clubs like Tadcaster and Brighouse to pick some of those players up and actually build them back up again and get them to a point where they realise, this isn't the end of the road. I can still have a career. I can still progress here. And, I think that's an important part. But I think all the mental health stuff that comes with that and the psychological side that comes with that, and Joe know from his role at Sheffield United, I think the players that fall out of the game really do suffer. When they've been at a club from 6-year-old to 18 and then they don't get a pro deal, or they just get a 1-year pro and then don't get anything else, it's tough. So we are a platform for them players to be able to pick themselves back up and get back into the pro game, or even get themselves a decent non-league deal. The National League now for me is a pro league. It's division. That's league. It's League 3. It's not league. It's not a non-league setting. Even the National League, some of the National League North sides now, I think Fylde full time. There's probably 3 at York City full time. The pro game has come further and further down the pyramid. So yeah,
Fylde's ground, Paul. I bumped into that by accident when I went on a day trip to Lytham, and Fylde's. I thought, bloody hell, where's this? Have I come to Blackpool?
You're going to Blackpool or Lytham? You're trying to be posh saying you're going to Lytham.
Well, with this ground, it's like, you know how you are, and you're just like, yeah, well, yeah, one of the posh, but Joe, just one for you. But I always find it interesting that obviously you're 31 now, so knocking on and what have you. But in your kind of youth, if someone have offered you like kind of a loan to Brighouse or Tadcaster or something like that, we see it a lot where kind of players go there for the season now, but what are some lads who are thinking, I can't be asked with that. I don't want to kind of step down to that level. Or do pretty much most people would have snapped their hand off because they just want to like play on a Saturday and enjoy the football?
No, definitely. I think a lot of players that under 18s, under 23s, I think players are in that mentality where, oh, I don't want to go at that level. If I don't do well, what do I do if I don't do well? Whereas I think or Lee Bromby's made a really good point there that, sometimes if it don't go well, that's going to make them it's not going to make them a better player, but it's going to make them a better person. So how do they deal with that setback? How do they deal with going out to a club not doing very well and people have got question marks raised over them then? I think they're all players at under 18s and 23s. They're comfortable staying where they are and just playing for the under 18s or the 23s on a Saturday. But they need to go out and they need to play. They need to experience playing for 3 points. They need to experience where, to be fair, where we're at Sheffield United, it's really, really good. The 18s and the 23s they've got good people in there where, if they're not doing the jobs, they get told. Whereas at some clubs, I don't know if that really happens. Where it's like you say, it's about player development, but it's also about getting that winning mentality into players. Because when you do step out, not everyone's going to make it at those clubs, at your Sheffield Uniteds, at your Huddersfield Towns, at all these EFL clubs. So when they do come out, they've got to have that mentality of wanting to win. And, some of our games at this level, they're not all nice passing around the back. It's hustle and bustle. It's a boggy pitch. It's windy. It's rainy. And you've got to fight.
What's kind of the biggest kind of mistake? What are the things like, if you could have your time again, or you see young lads when they don't make it? I know some of the people say it's unlucky or what have you, but what are the biggest pitfalls that you see? Is it just the trappings or the lifestyle, or is it not no dedication?
I genuinely believe one of the biggest things is when lads who go from the youth team to the first team. See, when I was in the youth team, and I'm sure the lads, everyone on here will vouch for it. When you're in the youth team, you do morning session, afternoon session, you're doing extras, you're doing gym, as soon as I think someone gets a break or they make the first team debut, it seems to stop. That seems to stop. They want to live that first team lifestyle but first team where they train in the morning, they'll do a little bit in the afternoon and they'll be home. But you have to work even harder. And the one thing that I tried to pride myself on was being the hardest worker. Being the hardest worker. If I'd done in the morning, I made sure I was there in the afternoon, and I made sure that I was trying to make myself better. And if I didn't make myself, if it didn't work, it didn't work. But at least I'd given my all. And that was one thing when I stepped out of the game at Bury, obviously with all the money situation, that I looked myself in the eye and I just said, you know what, I've given it everything. And that's all I wanted to do. But I think lads who are coming through the system, did they give it everything? Did they get complacent? Are they willing to go out to a Brighouse or a Tadcaster or the clubs at that level and go on loan and play on a Tuesday night away at Bridlington where they're getting back at midnight? I think at Golcar we need to progress to the next level and the level that obviously Quinny and James are at to maybe be able to get players on loan from these bigger clubs, because I think Golcar, 18 months ago was still an amateur club. They've only just come into the semi-pro game, and what they've done in 18 months is remarkable, really. But that's our aim now, to get to the level that Brighouse and Tadcaster are at, to then hopefully be able to get players in from the Huddersfields, from the Yorks, from the Leeds, and get them in and get them some experience. Because at the minute, obviously we've asked questions and things, but it's, if I'm being honest, if a player's got an opportunity to go to Brighouse or Tadcaster or go to Golcar, you're probably going to go to Brighouse or Tadcaster, and that's just and that's probably right for them as well.
All I'd
just
like
on,
to Sorry,
go
mate, you
on.
go
No,
on.
it's all right, go on. No, I'm just gonna add. I think in terms of loan players as well, as Joe said, I think from a manager's perspective as well, it's sometimes a catch-22 because you want to strike a good relationship with a pro club, but you're also sometimes obviously you'll do your homework and you'll watch them in academy games and you'll get a report from the academy manager on what they're like and what their attributes are, but you don't actually know how they're going to respond when they come into that senior environment. And obviously from a manager's perspective, when you've got 3 points on the line and, you need a win or, you're playing an important cup game, it can be a little bit of a difficult situation where, you're thinking, I don't know if I can play this player. I don't know if he's ready. He might just have to have 2 or 3 games where he's with us, but he's on the bench, and I think you've got to have that transparency with the club that this is the situation. Like I said, with the example with Huddersfield, that was refreshing for me to feel pressurised that he's got to come out and play X amount of games or X amount of minutes. We just see how it goes, and we feel pressurised that he's got to come out and play X amount of games or X amount of minutes. We just see how it goes, and we treat him as we would any other player, which I think is important.
And I think when you get that trust and that relationship with a club, like obviously Quinny's got, and like Brighouse, obviously with the lad that they've got from Manchester United, I mean, that's fantastic. Clubs are then willing to send the players out to you on a regular basis, and they know that they're going to get treated well. They know that they can train at Huddersfield or they can train at Man United in the day, can't they, as well, Quinny and James, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And so they're not missing out on any of the development in that sense. And then, as you said, they know that they're getting looked after at the clubs that they go to. And I think that's really important. And that's something at Golcar that we're striving to do, to get that way. You've got a certain trust with the football club, ideally a local football club where they're willing to give you the young players and know that they'll get a good experience.
Yeah, sorry, Kosi. I just wanted to ask, lads, because obviously we're a Huddersfield Town podcast, and it's good to have you on. But what's your relationship like with the club? Because I'm sure our listeners would be keen to know.
Well, I'm a Huddersfield lad. I'm a Huddersfield fan. I'm lucky enough that my granddad was a former manager as well, so that's a real proud connection for me. That I was not disappointed, but when we got into the Premier League, I always had the mantle that my granddad was the last manager to manage Huddersfield at the top flight. So that was sort of like my mum's mantra. And then when Wagner got us up, that were gone. So, but yeah, Huddersfield's flipping, really, really important part of my life, and wasn't lucky enough to play for them like Joe was, but they're my home club and always will be, and it's the first fixture I look for after I've got off the pitch to see how Town have gone on, and then the next one is hopefully that Leeds have lost as well. So if Taddy have won and Huddersfield have won and Leeds have lost, it's a great day, and we get the red wine out and we celebrate.
James, is your relationship good with Huddersfield Town? Like, say, HD6 postcode, but from the outside looking in, Huddersfield Town, in my opinion, has lost a bit of a connection with its fans, and I don't think it's just going down. I think we've lost some big characters, and in the club. And to me, I don't think there's the connection between the club and its fans, the club and its maybe businesses and stuff. Does that come across non-league as well, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Town fan, to be completely honest, but it's a club that I have grown to love over the last 10 years, and they are my second team, to be perfectly honest. And it's frustrating the way that they've conducted themselves, if I'm brutally honest, in the community. I think that it's a real shame, and I'll say this, that some great people have gone from the club. But look, I'm quite fortunate. I got to know Phil Hodgkinson reasonably well when he was taking over Huddersfield, and I was sort of in the same position taking over Brighouse, at a similar time actually, and we got to know each other relatively well. And I knew Phil as a commercial partner when my business was a commercial partner, and his was as well. So we built up a bit of common ground really. But Phil's a good guy, and I've got a lot of time for Phil, and obviously he wants to take it in a new direction, Huddersfield Town Football Club, and he owns the club. It's his baby, isn't it? With the greatest of respect, if I buy an house, I want to be able to decorate it the way I want to decorate it, and I think that's it's difficult because football is, we're all football fans underneath as well, and it's difficult to appease everybody. And I think Philly's trying his best, but I just think some of the recruitment that's gone on is not great at all. And I don't know. I think that for me, I think things need to change down there. I think there's some people that need to go, and try and get back to the relationship that they had with the fans and the community, and certainly something that I've experienced for a long time over the last few years is that affinity. I mean, Huddersfield Town, and I'll tell you, I'll put this on record, guys. Huddersfield Town was absolutely envied by Premier League clubs. It really was, in terms of their connectivity with the community, how they interacted with the fan base. The Huddersfield Town Foundation, the Huddersfield 100. It was the envy of lots of clubs at the Championship level and at the Premier League level. So to see that kind of dwindle is disappointing, to say the least. And I just hope the attitudes change a little bit down there, and come through. And I don't want to be too unprofessional with my comments, but it's just not what it were 3-4 years ago. And I think the time will come again, and the time will come again, and I have no doubt about that at all. But Huddersfield Town are a large town in West Yorkshire. Unfortunately, it's a working class town. We don't have the commerce that Leeds or Manchester or Liverpool does in terms of the business community. And what they built with that Huddersfield 100 platform was just unbelievable, unbelievable. And credit where credit's due, and it has dwindled, and I think that's down to personalities, really.
Joe, obviously, you still mustn't have people in the club or know people. How have you seen kind of Huddersfield Town and its connection with the community? Do you agree with James that it's lost its way a bit?
Yeah, I do, but obviously, I'm not really experiencing that in that kind of thing, and I don't really look into that too much. I'm just grateful for Huddersfield Town and what it's done for me. I joined that club when I was 7 years old, and it developed me not just as a footballer but as a person. I grew up the right way at that football club. I've got a lot of people to thank for that. The coaches that had me there, the people that were there when I was at the club. So Huddersfield Town is a club that I support. It's not my first club. I support Blackburn because my family's from over there. But yeah, I have a really good, or I have an affiliation with a football club now that I'll always look out for their result, and when the club's doing well, it makes me happy. So because that's all I know, because it gives me the love for football that I've got.
So 15th of November 2008, mate.
I know Mikey Collins texted me on that. What is it? Saying 12 years ago, I couldn't believe it.
Mate. We were in that cheese wedge, losing our SHIT, mate. It was one of the greatest. Did you chuck your shirt in? Didn't you? Were one of those that threw your shirt in at the end, didn't you? Jim
yeah, but no, as you say, it's a club that, as Quinny said there, it's a club that I'll always look out for. And I've loved football since the day that I stepped into. I love football obviously when I was young, but that game, the love for football and the job that I've done for the past obviously 13 years since I started professionally at 17. So I've just got good words to say about the football club.
That's good. Paul, I want to ask you now. So when I went to Baseford, their manager's Steve Chettle, who was a decent centre half. But I stood behind the Scarpa dugout, and Dan Kelly's their manager, and he was shouting at people for 90 minutes, Paul, and he won't get. No one were listening. Nobody cared, apart from a young lad who looked like he was like 14 years old, who obviously kind of had to listen to him, or so he probably wouldn't get another game. Like with local cricket, it's really difficult being a captain because sometimes you're scratching about day before a game, 2 days before a game with your team and stuff. How difficult is it to manage at your level with people getting off work? Can you injuries and stuff, not even throwing in COVID and stuff now. How tough is it to be a manager now, maybe compared to a few years ago? I know you'll probably enjoy it because you do it, but it's how hard is it at non-league level?
It's a full-time job. It's every day. It's 7 days a week. Your phone's constantly going. I have a rule with the players. I said to them, don't contact me on a Sunday, because it's the only day I've got off. If you need to contact anyone, I delegate the physio to do that. They get in touch with the physio, and if there's any issues, they get in touch with Abby. But yeah, it's tough. But I'm in the game because I absolutely love it. I'm passionate about the game. I'm passionate about trying to develop people. But yeah, it's full on. We are lucky, I think, as my managerial sort of pathways evolved. I think you get a sniff of players that are going to waste your time and not be committed to it. And you've got to have people alongside you, your management staff, everybody, players that are 100% committed. You can't have people dipping their toe because it just doesn't work for me. And that's tough because, they're not on a full-time wage. You're asking them to come in 3 times a week. We're asking them to go above and beyond. But as Skarz has said there, I think if you get a group of players that have got that mentality that they want to push themselves and better themselves and do things away from the training ground, you can't go far wrong. But yeah, it's difficult. It's a difficult role. But I won't comment on Daz Kelly because I know Daz really well, and we actually share the same training facility on a Tuesday and Thursday night. So I've got a really good relationship with Daz, and he's an excellent coach. And he's had it tough in the first job, and then did really well at Hyde. And I'm sure he'll do a great job at Scarborough. But just going back to the Huddersfield thing as well, I think just reflecting on what Skarz and James were saying, I think for me as a Huddersfield fan as well, if somebody had said to me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that you were going to see Huddersfield Town in the top flight in the Premier League for 2 seasons, I'd have absolutely bitten the hand off. And I think football has its ebbs and flows, and I think we will get back to what we're good at and what's central to us. I think we have lost our way a little bit, but I think that's football. And there's clubs that you look down the history have been relegated from the Premier League and end up having multiple relegations. So I think it's, for me now, it's about stabilising, isn't it? And also for Huddersfield fans as well, not getting too carried away thinking we're a big Premier League club because we've had a couple of seasons in there. For me, we're a Championship club and we want to do well at that level. And if we get another promotion, great. But we've got to be realistic, like James said, in terms of the area and the geography of it and everything. Just on a side note there.
Paul, how much did your dad play in a part for you being a manager, and kind of how much has he influenced you, giving you advice and stuff? Or does he kind of keep out of it? And obviously, Ian Greaves, you were mentioned earlier, to most people, that absolute legend of Huddersfield Town. It's almost kind of like just down the family chain, really, that you ended up being a manager. But or did they keep out of it?
Sunday lunch was interesting anyway, when they were my dad and my granddad and me sat around the table, and I was a young player at the time. And my granddad was obviously like a fantastic role model. Some of the stories he had about when he was at Huddersfield and the way he used to deal with the likes of Frank Worthington and how he trained when he was playing for United, they trained on the car park, and, telling me the stories about the 58 stuff, and, unbelievable really. And then obviously seeing my dad firsthand, I used to go to pretty much every Emley game, every Altrincham game, be sat on the coach, listening to the players and listening to the dialogue, and then almost sat in the change room. It was unbelievable really to get that experience. And it's sort of, you look at it and you're soaking all that in as you're going along, and for me, football's about, I remember a couple of standout moments. Obviously, Emley getting to Wembley, Altrincham played Chester in, I think, the second round of the FA Cup at home. And I remember going that night, I think I was about 11, and the atmosphere was just absolutely electric for a non-league club to get that far. And for me, that's why I'm in football. You're striving for those moments all the time, and those highs. And, James will have had it with the playoff win last season, or the season before rather. And, we've had a half-decent FA Cup run this year, and you play for those big moments, don't you? And I think Skarz will probably agree with that as well. The buzz you get off those moments feeds the next game, and even the disappointment from a defeat. For me, when you lose a game, it fuels you. I'm even more determined to get to the next game, next training session, to try and improve. And it's a bit, people say it's a little bit like a drug, and I think it is, because the highs are so good, the lows are so low. But the best advice I had, my granddad said, try not to get too high when you win a game, which is easier said than done, and try not to get too low when you lose one. And I think that's pretty good advice for life in general, if you can stick to that. That's easier said than done, by the way, when you score a last-minute winner and you're running on pitch and jumping on top of somebody. But yeah, so no, it was a good sort of breeding ground seeing my granddad and my dad obviously go through that, and it was inspirational, really.
James, if I could give you a magic one, where do you want Brighouse to be in 5 years? I don't really necessarily mean National League North or whatever, but just as a club would just maybe more entrenched in the community with kind of bigger support, more established.
Yeah, we're in the middle of a project at the minute. Actually, we want to build 5 pillars for the club. We've got men's section, men's first team, women's. I just want to shout out to our women's team, actually, guys, and just say how proud I am of Brighouse Town women. They are absolutely fantastic, and Rob Mitchell's done a phenomenal job with our women's team, and he really has. And we are West Riding County champions, albeit by default still because of COVID declaring it null and void last year because we won it the year before. But we're the best team in West Yorkshire. We're in the same league as Leeds United in women's football. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And yeah, so big shout out to Rob and the women's team, but boys and girls. And the 5th pillar that I want to try and build within the club is a disability section, Brighouse Town FC disability. And that's a really big key part of me personally anyway, in terms of the work that I do in the community and in the third sector, and creating that particular sector within the club is massive. So yeah, in order to answer your question, Kosi, in a bit more detail, but we really want to tap into that Huddersfield market, the Huddersfield Town fan. We really want to tap on to the Halifax Town fan and the Bradford City fan and be their second club. That's what we want. We've had some fantastic gates this season. We're allowed up to 400 and we'll be getting up to 400 in terms of maximum capacity. And it's fantastic. And it's, and there's an argument, I know people are going to say, well, COVID has accelerated that and supported that with not going to the professional game. But my argument is, let's take advantage of it. Let's showcase non-league football to the casual fan or to the armchair fan, if you like. And we had Jack Carroll, the famous comedian, come down who lives in Brighouse for a couple of games just before this recent lockdown. And I know Jack is a Leeds United fan. He's quite a vocal Leeds United fan on Twitter, actually, for his faults. And I asked him, I said, why have you come down? He said, I live in Brighouse and I need to get that football fix. I need to watch football. And that was brilliant, and that was brilliant to get, such a, quite high profile, famous individual come down to the club. And, but that's the real sort of long-term goal for us is to push that brand out there and keep growing that name of Brighouse Town. And, I'll talk the back legs off a donkey because, I'll do anything, mate. I'll just constantly push it out as much as I possibly can, because I think people need to be aware, and I'm not just doing it for Brighouse Town selfishly, but doing it for the likes of Marine, who have made the FA Cup second round, unbelievable. Skelmersdale, who have unfortunately got knocked out in the first round of the FA Cup. This is putting non-league on the map, and we want to, and I'm sure Skarz and Quinny will echo me thoughts and my comments here about, there is an alternative to the professional game, and it's non-league football. And I can't emphasise that enough. Don't get me wrong. I'm a massive professional football fan. I'll watch anything on Sky or BT. If it's on, I'll watch it. And because I'm just a huge football fan anyway. But, I just really urge people to come and just watch Taddy, Golcar, Emily, Liversidge, Brighouse, anything, just to really appreciate the athleticism more than anything, the ability, the talent that's on offer. And not only that, 15 quid, you can get a ticket, have a pint and a pie in a programme, so it's not bad value either.
The community links, like you said there, James, one thing, I can watch quite a bit of Scarborough, and they've got Andy's Man Club on their away shirt, which is absolutely fantastic. And Joe, you touched on it there, that, kind of about lads who've dropped out of professional, maybe having a struggle kind of mentally with stuff. And it was interesting. I don't know if you were at Golcar last year, apologies if you were, but I kind of read that amazing story about the 2 lads coming back from the away game at, I had it written down, is it Darwin or somewhere? But basically they stopped a 19-year-old kind of jumping off the bridge. And don't you just think that it's like, Neil, Brighouse, you opened the first Andy's Man Club proudly this week. Don't you think like the community the amateur football as well has got such a big part to play on this, giving people their, you know, whether it's players, you know, fans, everyone can kind of tap into this community, really.
Do you know what, Kosi? And I'm just going to say this. You know, I go around the ground every home game, and even obviously on away games, chatting to fans and people, and they live for it. It's the Saturday, and I can name a dozen fans at Brighouse who unfortunately are on their own, or they live in some type of accommodation or care, and their goal is to get to there at 3 o'clock on Saturday, and it's fantastic. It's just so touching and endearing.
James, it's so true. I were at Glossop North then for my sins on that Saturday when Boris announced we were going into another lockdown. And we were just like minutes. I remember it was announced at 5 and there were like 10 minutes of the game to go, and they were, God, that's it for a month. I don't know how I'm going to get by. And it was really kind of touching and emotional, really, that these fellas, it's like, no, release now. And like you said, some of them might live in a home, or it's just, it just made me realise walking out of there, it's more than just like watching Manchester City on telly or what have you. This is what football's about. It's people's release. It's people's something to look forward to.
We've said it a million times, Kosi. We've said it a million times about Town and the sort of links to the community. And I think being proud of a football club is a lot more than 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Being proud of your football clubs about what they do in the community, how they involve the community, and how they get the local community involved within the club and make it feel like their club. I mean, Town, obviously, Andy's Man Club stuff, Town have been brilliant with that. Can't fault them, but obviously I've got clubs on here. We had a day at Golcar last season set aside for Andy's Man Club, which were fantastic, raised a load of awareness there. Brighouse, know all too well, have done with a day down at Brighouse last season, absolutely fantastic. They've got Andy's Man Club board up at side at pitch now, which is brilliant. And James actually helped us find the venue that we got for when we opened Brighouse Andy's Man Club this week. It was somebody that James knew. Quick phone call, and after we'd been on the phone, and 20 minutes later, we've got a venue for Andy's Man Club Brighouse, and we had 25 guys turned up there on Monday, eight for the first time, all getting stuff off their chest, and you know, having that release, and that all came about in Brighouse from the local football club getting involved and helping us out. So that's football has got the power to do a lot of good, and again, that's why I said earlier on, I touched on that. Clubs like Brighouse and Tadcaster and Golcar are massive to local communities, absolutely massive. And I think it's really poor of the football authorities to sort of hang them all out to dry.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, we've got obviously at our level as well. I mean, it's not just the fans and that; it's the players as well. You know,
yeah.
A lot of our lads at Step 6, they work all week and. They work all day on a Tuesday to play on a Tuesday night or a Saturday at 3 o'clock. They do. I mean, and I know how much the lads are missing it now. And, you know, that might be their release, you know, from an hard week at work, playing at 3 o'clock in front of 300 people. I mean, we've said it a few times in warm-up when we get in a little huddle and stuff. And, you know, the Football League clubs that can't have fans at the minute, and we're there with 300 fans, and it's honestly, it's incredible sometimes, you know, like Brighouse, obviously James is there about them getting 400. You know, a lot of our lads, and I think they'll all agree with me when I say this, is you know, it's their main part of the week. You know, they work to play on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock and have a few beers with lads after and go through fines about someone having some I don't know, someone doing something horrendous in a game or something where he got megged or keeper throwing one in for us.
Yeah. It's part of it's the life, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's really the life that they live for that. They live for that camaraderie, and it's not even about the 90 minutes. It's about the camaraderie where you play with teammates and fans. And I
think Quinny said a really good thing there, where it's about, you know, at this level, it's about if you've got that mentality as a group and you've got that. And you've got a really good group of lads. I mean, at Golcar, we started training on June the 28th. And we had no idea when the season was going to start. You know, I think the managers, Ash and Gav, messaged me saying, look, Skarz, the lads want to start. They just want to train. They just want to train on a Tuesday and Thursday night. Not on about what getting paid or they just want to train. because they need to train. They need to be doing stuff.
Normality. And I think we've all craved that in his own way, haven't we, over this last however long. And when there doesn't seem any end to it, obviously, Quinny, you were saying earlier on about how, you've had the meeting and you just want to crack on and get on with it. And there's no reason why at that level it couldn't just carry on as it was doing.
No. Joe, can I ask you?
Go on.
Sorry, Neil.
Yeah.
Barry, you've been there twice.
Yeah.
How do you feel about what happened there?
Yeah, obviously it were. My first time at Bury were amazing. Went there when I left Huddersfield. It was amazing. I loved it. Then the second time when I came back, it was more of a family decision. I was down in Oxford, and my little girl was due to start school the next year, so I wanted to come back and get settled back up north near my family and get really settled into school up here. Obviously, went back to Bury and it didn't work out, and it devastated what happened to the club. And it left a little bit of a sour taste on obviously how my first spell went. But obviously Quinny's a good mate then. Welsh is the manager there now of the kind of reformed club of Bury. We played them the game before lockdown. And the things that they're doing at that club now, they play at Radcliffe, it's fantastic what they're doing. And I think Quinny, you'll know probably more than me about how much Welsh is enjoying it there. And they're probably one of the clubs in Step 6, I think. I mean, I said about Golcar getting loan players. I think Bury have got that. They've got that pull to potentially get players in. I think they've got a lad on loan from Stockport.
This isn't the Gig Lane club, is it, Joe? This is another one, isn't there? The second one.
Yeah, this is the one that's kind of, it's got all the Bury fans, AFC Bury, managed by Andy Welsh. And that's kind of, they play at Radcliffe. So I believe that, if they could have fans now, they'd be getting 2,000 fans. They really would. All the Bury fans are now supporting this club. If Bury does reform at Gig Lane, I can't see them getting any fans. Just because I think that obviously the chairman who's still in charge of Gig Lane, who still owns the stadium, the fans despise him because of what happened, and rightfully so. So what they're doing at this new club, like I say, with Andy Welsh as a manager, it's fantastic. And they would, if we were allowed fans and we were allowed as many fans as we could, they'd be getting 2,000 a week.
Their social media following, interestingly, is larger than some National League clubs.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
James?
Yeah.
Go on, Brady, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask, lads, because we really appreciate you coming on. How can we get involved as fans? Obviously, I imagine it's coming down, but just for all our listeners, how can we help out?
Buy a season ticket, Brady.
Right.
Tell you what, Quinn and James, I'll be there on Boxing Day at your game. We've not got a game, so I'm there.
Make sure there's beers. Make sure the beer's on. Yeah. Alcohol, better be waiting for him, man. James, Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney at Wrexham, does that excite you? Does that worry you? It just seems to me, it sounds good in theory, but the reality, or I'm a bit of an old traditionalist, I'm scared, but what's your thoughts on that? Is it good?
I think it's bonkers, to be honest, in a good way. I think it's great for football. I really do. And I think that, look, I did an interview in the Courier last week, just about sort of my experience with running a football club. And Quinny might not believe me, but apparently I'm the youngest chairman in football from Premier League down to our level, allegedly. And and I put, yeah, and I put a line in. That was true, and I put a statement in there, and I said, look, it's everybody's dream. Everybody's dream to work in football, whether you've had a career like Joe, or you're managing a club with what Quinny's done, or even in my position, it is everybody's dream to work in football. It's a fantastic privilege to be able to be part of the game, and and I think with what the guys are doing over at Wrexham, they've clearly read my article and thought, right, we're going to buy Wrexham. It is everybody's dream. But I don't know. Look, I think it's good. I think it's good for English football. I think it's good that they,
Welsh football.
Welsh football,
Welsh football,
English football. I I think it's good, and I think that I'll certainly be trying to get hold of their PR team to try and fix a friendly up for sure, because I think we'll get 10,000 fans down the road just for Ryan Reynolds, I think. But yeah, good on him, and it's great. And a good friend of mine, Jake Lawler, was at Wrexham, who's left now and gone to Harrogate, and he speaks very highly of them as a club. So I'm not surprised they've been bought and invested in, and good on them, really.
Paul, just going to kind of close it down in a few minutes, but Harrogate Town, incredible story, really. Are they kind of the benchmark for everyone as well, or is there kind of some people jealous, kind of looking at it thinking, well, hang on a minute, they've got a bit of a benefactor to the manager's dad, but it's like, it's incredible. I remember when they played Guiseley, it must have been a good 5-6 years. I went in with Boxing Day, I don't think we had a game, Town, and Guiseley were miles ahead in a pyramid kind of than Harrogate, and it's amazing what's happening. But the best thing is, the exposure they've had this year, I think they've been on telly about 4 times. They play some great football, and I don't think they don't feel it's the end of the story. So it's why can't they push up? It gives hope for everyone, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant story, and regardless whether they've got benefactor or not, people jealous or not, I don't really get that mentality. I think one of the key things for me, and this might sound biased as a manager, but Simon's been there 11 years, so there's some longevity there, and I think we're in a culture now where management teams and coaches, even at our level, they're chopping and changing all the time, and you can't get any continuity. And just think back to my time at Brighouse. I was there 5.5 years, and it gave me time to bed things in, and it takes time. It takes a long time to get a culture of a club the way you want it. So having Simon there, and having that continuity and that identity and building that identity over time, I think is massively important. Obviously, having that strong relationship with your chairman as well, which Simon's obviously going to have with his father being chairman, I think is really important as well. That manager-chairman relationship is absolutely critical. I think if you've got a good working relationship, you're open, you're talking all the time, that's massively important. But I think James talked about it earlier in the call. You look at that and anything's possible. That's the magic of football. If you believe in yourself and you keep persisting and you overcome the obstacles, anything is possible in the game. And that's what I'm in it for. I'm in it to try and get as high as I possibly can. I want to try and do that with Tadcaster. Skarz wants to try and get Golcar as high as he can while he's there, and James wants to try and progress Brighouse, and that's the beauty of football. I think it gives everyone hope. It gives you a kick in the bollocks as well now and again, but it gives you the hope, and that's why we all love, and that's why we keep going back on a Saturday 3 o'clock as a fan, as a manager, as a player, because we just want that next little moment, don't we, where we can reflect back on it and talk about it. And it's a great game to be involved in, and every day that I'm involved in it, and I try not to take anything for granted. No matter what crap's thrown your way, you try and get on with it. But yeah, Harrogate for me been brilliant, aren't they? And the story just seems to continue, and they've got some good players there. Back to John Stead's obviously gone there now, and Aaron Martin's gone there from not straight from Brighouse, but was only at Brighouse 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So they've got a blend, haven't they, in terms of players that are coming back up to the non-league, experienced pros. So yes, it's been great to see.
And that's the platform, isn't it, though, Quinny? Where you mentioned some players' names there who are now playing in League Two EFL football, and it's an advert. It's an advert for our level, and it really is. And long may it continue, really. And I just want to touch on Harrogate, if I may. And what a journey, man! I mean, it's just unbelievable. And I'm so pleased for them and proud for them. I've had the privilege of getting to know them anywhere outside of football through business. Just a real nice bunch of people. Joe mentioned about Bury earlier with the new guy. Well, sorry, before they collapsed, and there was a lot of unrest and disruption at Bury, and you do meet some arseholes, unfortunately, in football, and whether it's professional level or non-league, and just really good people, Harrogate, and I wish them every success in the world. And watch this space, because they're not off the playoffs, I think. So
as a fan, you mentioned there, but talking as a fan, you love to see. I mean, a couple of examples at Town. They got Danny Schofield in from Brodsworth Miners Welfare years ago. Ian Dunn came in randomly from goal. And it's great to see these people, these lads, young lads, get a chance at Football League. And it's great to see, lads from Brighouse and Tadcaster, getting chances to move in. That's what football is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The BT Sport documentary on Harrogate was so enlightening, because it tells you everything why the success. the togetherness there. You knew after, I mean, obviously we knew they'd gone up anyway, but after that semi-final that they'd won, you knew they'd beat Notts County. Even though before pretty much everyone would have backed Notts County to win that, you knew, and they're just the way they behaved. It was incredible, like doing the COVID tests in the team room kind of thing. And
they blow them away as well, didn't they?
Incredible,
man. Absolutely murdered them.
Yeah, he gives up for all. What are you guys doing on Saturday anyway? You must be at a loose end. Skarz, you go Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda?
To be fair, I won't lie to you. I've had some lads over in my garage doing like in garage, and I'm outside doing a workout with them. So some lads have come over to do a bit of gym stuff. Just because, like I said, they want to do something. If they're not doing something, then they're going to drive themselves at wall. Yeah. So obviously, we'd love to go to the field and do a distance session or something, but you can't because the risk is too much. So I've had a few lads come over where one lad will come at 9, and then the next one will come at 9:45, and they just on treadmill or they're on bike in garage. Just have a little chat with them, just so they can let off a bit of steam from the week. And I think we'll all agree we're just itching to get back and itching. I think the one thing that's really frustrated everyone and frustrated myself the most is that we can't even train. We understand we can't play, but the fact that we can't train, it's just even more frustrating. And I think I've been working at Handsworth tonight. I don't know, are they in your league, Quinny? And are they in your leagues or not?
They're in Northern Counties Prem, I think.
Yeah.
And the lad who owns Handsworth tonight said that they've been told that when we come out of lockdown, their first fixture is not going to be on the Saturday the 5th. It's going to be on the Tuesday. So they can train Thursday, Saturday, then play Tuesday. So obviously, I think we're all just waiting on news really now. Well, we are at Golcar from the North West Counties League, as if we do come out of lockdown on the 2nd, when we can play and what it's going to look like going forward. But yeah, we can't wait. It's been a frustrating time, but we've just got to get on with it.
Gwynny, where are you going Saturday? What's your plans, mate?
I don't know. Town have got Stoke, haven't they? So
yeah,
I might go for half an hour. I don't know. We've got the lads doing a little bit of a training regime on Saturday. Obviously not face to face, but we're getting them to sort of do some stuff locally, like 1-to-1, which is permitted. So we're sending some sessions out to do. So we're just trying to make the best of it. We've had a few online sessions and stuff, and doing it that way as well. So it's been interesting because we've had to sort of adapt a little bit, and some good stuff's come out of it, actually. Some good stuff in terms of out of a bad situation. It's made you really reflect on maybe ways you can work a bit more efficiently, I suppose, for everybody, really. Some things obviously will change for the good. Some things we want to get back to, but yeah, good question. I don't know. I think
what's this?
It's hard, and it's Saturdays. It's just like, what do you do? What Thursday nights? I was sat here last Thursday, and I'm like, what do people do on a Thursday night? Like, you're out. What do people do? What are they watching? I'm a sun.
A place in the sun, mate. Get it on. I've got about 140 of them on the James, how much money will you lose for, say, if you had an home game on Saturday under kind of the post-COVID where everyone can go, no professional? What would you have made on that day? What will you lose? I don't want to depress you, man.
I think you just have.
Yeah, you have. Over 4 figures, and yeah, it's tough. It's difficult, and somebody mentioned, I think it was Quinny mentioned earlier about the job retention scheme. We've got half a dozen players on contract, which need paying. We're going to try and put a claim in to cover that expense, but we still need our management team working, preparing for our return. So there are costs that we're going to incur, absolutely, and yeah, it's a lot of money. I don't want to think about it because
end on a low there. It's that as well. But guys, I just want to thank you for your time. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've learned a lot. Sure, everyone else has on that as well. We just hope that you can get back out of Asda and Sainsbury's and to doing what you do best, managing, counting your money, James and Joe, crossing balls in and scoring amazing goals like at Ellen Road in November 2008.
James, where is it? Is it home? Is it at Brighouse or Taddy on Boxing Day?
Taddy, I think. Taddy,
bit far, that, innit, couldn't it?
No, I think it's a I've got it at Brighouse.
Brighouse. Yeah, it's
I've got it at Brighouse. I've just checked my calendar, yeah.
You don't
You're
even
not-
know, James.
Oh.
Are you a
James,
proper
James.
chairman or what? What is going on?
He's off on holiday, isn't he? He's already told us.
Will Joe register you for that game if you want?
Yeah.
You haven't got a game for Golcar, will Joe register you?
Yeah, we are at home. Apologies, we're at home to Taddy Boxing Day, away to Austin on New Year's Day.
James is trying to get me turned up at Taddy for that game. What is everybody?
Yeah, what's your tactics, Quinny? Actually, have you done anything for the game?
Yeah, we're going to play four up top. Skarz is playing in goals.
Skarz in goal, yeah.
James, get a stream going, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. It's
It's been class as that, fellas. Really insightful, and hopefully it's give you guys a platform to talk to a wider audience, football league level, and make a few more people aware that there's local teams we can go and watch eventually when you're back in.
Yeah,
I could just mention as well, there are lots of other teams as well locally, and and I appreciate the platform, Neil and Kosi and Brady for Brighouse, and no doubt Quinny does for Taddy and Skarz does for Golcar, but just non-league generally, Liversidge, Emley, Shelley, Pontefract, there's lots of clubs locally. Park Avenue,
I went to Penistone Church. That would have placed, mate. I tell you what, they're not backwards and giving an opinion there at Crowd, are they? Bloody hell. Who would be a linesman?
Yeah.
That's don't know what they're doing. And that's only stuff you can even say, but yeah, it is quality. Guys, thanks so much. We'll be back next week. We've got 2 games, haven't we, here? We've got Stoke on Saturday where we'll win 4-0, and then Wickham. We'll be in the top 6. We'll be back towards the Premier League, and yeah, okay.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.